This season is presented by Capital One.
Hey, welcome everyone to Mrs. Pregame. We got Cardell Dudley Jr. here with us. Wilson Tarbeck Jr. and Cardell. Mrs. is back at home. The host, the 8-11 Portland Fire. The Fire coming off back-to-back double-digit losses to Chicago Sky. Washington's coming off back-to-back disheartening losses, one to the Lynx and then one to the Sun, one at home and one on the road. They didn't look particularly good in either one of those two outings, honestly, as far as the injury report goes. No injuries report for the Mystics. For Portland, Carly Samuelson is listed as questionable. So, Cardell, the Mystics trying to get back on the winning side of things. What are the keys to tonight's game?
First of all, just start with some energy, passion, and just playing all out. They didn't do that, in that loss to the Sun. It was a complete letdown. Now being back home, home cooking, so to speak, I expect to see far more energy than they showed against the Connecticut Sun. That wasn't even normally them. They may have, at the time, they pretty much 500, a ball club. The games that they lost, they always competed. They would just lose at the end with self-inflicted things, like turnovers or, missed shots and stuff you can correct. There's nothing anybody can do about a team that don't want to bring energy and compete for a full 40. It just is what it is. So that's something that they can start with. That's one of them games where it's like, bad night at the office, but don't let that happen again. Like, you can't have that. Just get back to their normal ways. Sonya was balling up until last game. She it was just uncharacteristic of her, especially the run she had been on the last few games. Get back to form. I'm not saying she got to score 28 every game, man, but look, 20 to 25, 5 to 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, playing good defense. That's well within her capabilities, and lead the way in that regard. Georgia Moore continue to do what she's been doing offensively as of late, making shots and whatnot. Continue to compete on defense and just cut down the turnovers. So she leads the team in assists with 4 a game, but the turnovers are almost identical. So she got to keep those down. You know what I'm saying? Just keep the turnovers down. Anya, get back to how she was, I'll say, about the first 12 or 13 games of the season. When she was the constant, where everybody else was kind of trying to be consistent outside Sonya and Kiki. She was kind of the constant. Get back to form. What I'm saying is all the players on the Mystics that have to be counted on to produce at a certain level, depending on their roles, be that. And that's half the battle. Also, as a team, defend, get back to rebounding. They want to rebound the battle, but limit offensive rebounds. Don't turn the ball over. That's probably been the number one thing that has played this team since the first game. Just too many turnovers to overcome. And you got to make outside shots at some point. You got to make outside shots. If they can start making outside shots at a decent rate, at a decent efficiency to match what they bring in the paint with their bigs and stuff, then they can go on a run and pile up some wins, man. That's it. It is what it is, man. Now, in today's matchup against the Portland Fire, 8 and 11 teams still trying to find their way. They don't have the most potent offense. They kind of kill you, try to execute in the half court. They're not the most stout defensively, obviously, being an expansion team. But what they do kill you at is 3-point volume. They have 7 players that shoot 37%, between 37% and 52% from deep in efficiency. They are 5th in the WNBA in 3-point makes and 3-point attempts. So, they get them up at a high rate, and then you got to guard them and keep them off the free throw line. The free throw line, the 80% is a team from the free throw line. 5th in the WNBA. So, those are the 2 areas where they rely on the most to try to score and produce their points. And if they're not executing and if they're not scoring from those aspects, it's a tough night for them. And that's how the Mystics can get them. They're dead last in rebounding, so I fully expect the Mystics to kill them in that regard. And just punish them in various ways. Turn them over for a change. You know what I mean? The Fire, 12th in the WNBA in turnovers per game, 14.3. The Mystics are all right after that. So, the team that don't turn the ball or take care of the ball in this game, it will go a long way towards who wins, man. So again, keys for the Mystics: defend without fouling because they shoot 80%. They'll make you pay. You got to guard the 3-point line. That's how they produce their points. Like I said, you got 7 players that shoot between 37 to 52%. That's a lot of shooters. That you got to contest. That's a lot of shooters you got to worry about, and it's all positions. It's not just the guards. You know what I mean? It's front court players as well. So you got to be on the string. You got to cover a lot of ground. If you get held up on screens, you got to recover, rotations, all that got to be on point. And you got to run them off the 3-point line and make them score in other ways that they're not that good at. If the Mystics do those things as well as be their normal selves, put a complete game together offensively, they should get back in the win column, get back to 500.
Yeah, I think those are great keys. And that's absurd. Having 5 players shooting 37 or above from 3.
7 players.
7, I'm sorry. That's nuts. And like you said, we've seen the Mystics have issues sometimes finding folks in cross matches and transition, things of that nature. And as you said, if they're a half-court team, these are more reason, more onus for them to be more disciplined tonight, because you can't let 37% 3-point shooters get too many clean looks. They're not going to let you off the hook. So those are the keys to the game. Cardell gave you guys to keep those in mind. We'll check in with you guys afterwards for Mystics Outlook. As always, you got anything else you wanted to add, Cardell?
Also, 8 players shoot between 75% and 95%. 75%, 95% from the free throw line. So can't foul at all on defense, and you can't leave them around the 3-point line, because if they get to the free throw line enough, and if they bomb you for 3, it could be a long night for the Mystics.
It's going to be on Washington. So it's our poise and discipline that can be in them areas that you just mentioned. We'll see how things go. Appreciate talking about it. See y'all. This is over.